Hi, and welcome back to this second hour of Focal Point, this Monday edition of Focal Point on AFR Talk, the most dangerous and feared radio network in all of America. You are listening to Focal Point. I am your congenial, convivial, and amiable host, not a mean-spirited bone in my body. Brian Fisher is my name. The program is Focal Point, and the network is the American Family Radio Talk Network. Rob, let's grab clip 10, start there. I want to talk a little bit about the buzz in the air about the Second Amendment. President Obama, Dianne Feinstein, there was a raft of anti-gun bills that were dropped on Congress the first day it met last Thursday. 8 of them by the Democrats, 2 of them by Republicans, which would protect gun rights, 8 of them assaulting gun rights, attacking gun rights. And President Obama is a big-time supporter of these anti-gun pieces of legislation that will require registration. There's talk among Democrats about requiring people to turn in their guns. This is what Dianne Feinstein said in 1995. If I had enough votes, I would confiscate every gun in America. I would say, Mr. and Mrs. America, time for you to turn your guns in. Now, here is President Obama in 2008 when he wanted people to vote for him. Now he's saying, look, I want to take your guns. I want to stop you from getting guns. Guns is the problem. I got a story here. 3 times as many people killed by automobiles every year as killed by handguns. 3 times or 4 times. Like a number of gun deaths, about 9,000 last year. 35,000 people killed in cars. That's 3 to 4 times more people killed by cars than by guns. More people are killed in falls. You know that? 3 times as many people are killed in America by falls, almost 24,000, than are killed by guns. But nobody's out there trying to ban staircases or stepladders. Nobody's out there trying to ban cars, even though they kill way more people than handguns do. It's not guns that kill people. It's SUVs that kill people. It's ladders that kill people. It's balconies that kill people. It's stairways that kill people, if you follow that logic. Now, here is President Obama, clip number 10, back in 2008.
When y'all go home and you're talking to your buddies and they say, he wants to take my gun away. You've heard it here. I'm on television, so everybody knows it. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in people's lawful right to bear arms. I will not take your shotgun away. I will not take your rifle away. I won't take your handgun away.
Well, that was a short-lived promise because the bills that are being proposed would crimp sales of rifles by, I don't know, as much as 75% from what I've read, handguns by as much as 50%. So that's exactly what Barack Obama wants to do. Maybe he's not going to take them away at this point, but he wants you to keep from being able to get your hands on them. Now, here is clip 11. Here's newly elected Democrat Senator Heidi Heitkamp. Now, she's from North Dakota, and she was asked on the program this week, this is yesterday morning, about President Obama, Dianne Feinstein, the other gun control bills that are being proposed. And she was asked a question by George Stephanopoulos. What do you think about them? And here's her answer.
But are you willing to talk about gun control as well?
Well, I think you need to put everything on the table. But what I hear from the administration, and if the Washington Post is to be believed, that's way in extreme of what I think is necessary or even should be talked about.
So that's Heidi Heitkamp, Democrat. Good on you, Senator Heitkamp, member of the NRA. What President Obama is proposing, she says, is way in extreme of what I think is necessary. Now, here's Pat Buchanan, clip number 12. Now, remember, the backdrop to this is, do not forget, everybody thinks the American Revolution was about taxation without representation, and it was. That is one of the complaints in the Declaration of Independence. I am kind of sifting through my copy of the Declaration to see if I can find what I am looking for. Well, I'll tell you what, let's play the soundbite, and then I'll come back with what I find. This is Pat Buchanan. And you know who confiscated guns? You know who took guns away from people? It was Nazi Germany. The first thing they did, I read a 55-page study of that this morning, the first thing that Hitler did when he came to power in 1933 is to take guns away from everybody. And they went into people's houses to take their guns away. They busted the door down. Talk about forced entry. That's exactly what they did to take guns from people. It became illegal in 1938 for a Jew, no matter what his position was in society, even to own a handgun. That's what Kristallnacht was all about, the night of broken glass. They started going into the homes of Jews and taking their guns away. They had no opportunity. They had no capacity to defend themselves against the Holocaust because they did not have guns. And don't forget that what triggered the War for Independence back in 1775 was when the British came for our guns and our powder. That's what set it off. The shot heard round the world at the Concord Bridge. Why was that shot fired on that day? It's because the British regulars were going after the ammunition. They were going after a gunpowder depot. They were trying to disarm the American people, and that is what touched off the war for independence itself. So here's what Pat Buchanan has to say, and I think he's right about this.
There are 3 million Armalite rifles, those Bushmaster types, out there right now, and people are buying them like hotcakes. Every gun show, the sales are up enormously. 41% they were up in December over last December, which was a record year. John, what is coming, though, Eleanor is correct. The push is going to come on 3 things: to grandfather in the assault weapons that are here now, to try to outlaw assault weapons, outlaw magazines that carry more than 11 or 12 bullets.
And also, wait a minute. Let me get this in there. With no Second Amendment, Congress could pass a law as limited as this: banning assault rifles, or as sweeping as prohibiting all private firearm ownership and requiring the surrender of all privately held firearms. There could be no appeal.
There would be a revolution in this country.
Baloney. That doesn't mean you can't own one, but you have to put it in first and then go in and try to...
270 million guns in this country right now, John, and they're adding to them at the rate of about 16 million a year.
So I think Pat Buchanan is exactly right. If the president is trying to do everything short of actual confiscation, short of actually requiring people to turn in their guns. Now, you've got some of these jurisdictions, like Oakland had a big gun buyback program. I think another city in New Jersey had the same thing. So they're willing to pay people for their guns that turn in their guns voluntarily and voluntarily disarm themselves. Man, if I lived in the city of Oakland and somebody asked me to turn in my handgun, man, that's a classic case of pry it from my cold, dead fingers, absolutely defenseless in that case. And by the way, a couple of school districts in New Jersey have taken the NRA's advice, and they now have armed police guards. This is exactly what the NRA said. Everybody just bloviated. They went apoplectic. They practically had brain aneurysms over the NRA suggesting we put armed police guards in schools. This is exactly what 2 New Jersey school districts are doing. Why? Because they want to protect the safety of their children, and they know that Wayne LaPierre was exactly right when he said the only thing that will stop a bad man with a gun is a good man with a gun. Truer words have never been spoken. Here's a letter from a Marine, Joshua Boston. You've maybe seen this. A letter he wrote to Senator Dianne Feinstein. He says this: I will not register my weapons should this bill be passed, as I do not believe it is the government's right to know what I own, nor do I think it prudent to tell you what I own so that it may be taken from me by a group of people who enjoy armed protection, yet decry me having the same a crime. You, ma'am, have overstepped a line that is not your domain. I am a Marine Corps veteran of 8 years, and I will not have some woman who proclaims the evil of an inanimate object yet carries one tell me that I may not have one. I am not your subject. I am the man who keeps you free. I am not your servant. I am the person whom you serve. I am not your peasant. I am the flesh and blood of America. I am the man who fought for my country. I will not be disarmed. Respectively, Joshua Boston, United States Marine Corps. Back in 2.